All right. Thank you to everyone in the chat and the people who are viewing this live stream right now. My name is Sydney Davis, and I am here on behalf of Women Atheists Unloaded show, Humorous, Humanist. I am your host, the Humorous Humanist, Sydney Davis Jr. Jr. Thank you to Skeptic Haven channel for hosting us here. And the important thing to know about this show is just because we are Women Atheists Unloaded does not mean you have to be an atheist to join us. You can be spiritual, you can be religious, you can hang out, you can comment in the chat. We'd love to have you. So welcome to Humorous Humanist, and let's get it rolling.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray.
All right. So thank you everybody for joining us, for tuning in to Humorous Humanist. Once again, I am your host, Sydney. But before we really hop in, I'm going to give our guests a chance to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about who they are, what they do, what they're all about. Let's start with Ash. Ash Newland, who are you?
Hi, I'm a comedian. I am located in Dallas, and I used to be a former minister and missionary.
Wow, that's wild. And you're located where?
I'm located in Dallas, Texas right now.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, it's great to have you, Ash. And I know Ash from stand-up here in the Nashville area before she moved away. Very, very funny. So thanks for joining us, Ash. It's great to have you. And next we're going to go with Trish. Tell us about yourself, Trish.
I'm Trish Sullivan. I am a comedian as well. I am a former Catholic schoolgirl and a former Catholic. Like 16 years of Catholic education, wow. First grade to through college. So, I'm in Chicago.
Yes, and another really fantastic, talented female comedian. I have known you for, I think we said like 3.5 years or something like that. Yeah, super talented comedian, very, very funny. You've always got some of the best insights and jokes on my Facebook feed. So love you for it, Trish. Thanks for joining us. And then finally, Allie Newsome.
I'm a comedian in the Nashville area. Certified baddie. Just kidding. I was raised Lutheran for like 15 years. I'm a hardcore atheist now, but
hardcore.
Not a mean one. You know what I mean?
not one of the mean ones. We're one of the nice ones. Well, Trish and Ash and Allie, thank you so much for joining me. I love hanging out with you guys. I love hanging out with my fellow comics, especially people who are as talented as you guys and as funny as you guys. But the most important part is I like to get your opinions on things that aren't related to comedy, because why not, right? I feel like we talk about stand-up and comedy and we hang out with comedians 24/7. And so, but we are real people outside from behind the mic. So what we're going to do is, for anybody who's joining us who has never logged on or tuned into the show, we're going to play Yay or Nay, which is one of my favorite games. And by that, I mean, I use it all the time because it's great. And I'm just going to ask you some questions. We're going to start easy and then maybe get a little more difficult. But for the audience, they're going to vote yay or nay on how they feel, explain their perspective on the topic. And in the chat, please feel free to answer for yours as well if you're watching this, because we will post the response to your to the question on the screen and we can talk about it. So I need to come up with a theme song for yay or nay for the producers listening. I feel like this would be a perfect time to have like a banger just hit and then end with like yay or nay. All right, so moving forward, the first question is, social media causes more harm than good. Or I guess I should say statement. Social media causes more harm than good. Raise of hands for yay. Raise of hands for nay. Okay. Trish, you voted yay. Tell us about it.
I think that I'm in a unique position to talk about this because I'm older than all of you by a lot. And because I work as part of my day job, part of it is social media. And so I know that it has some value, but I feel like it has lowered the quality of discourse. In civil discourse is no longer civil. And there's a lot of stupidity. I feel like Idiocracy has become, it's gone from being a mediocre movie to being how we live. And I feel like social media has really contributed to that. The it's bad for your self-esteem thing, I don't really see why it has to be like that. I think that's more like how people treat themselves. But I think it's a good tool, but it's sometimes I regret being involved with it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, there are days where I'm like, man, if I hadn't started this as a teenager, I would just wipe my presence off the internet entirely. So you're saying in terms of like how people view themselves, it may not be as harmful that way, but it's harmful in terms of discourse, discussion, like having educated conversations and just overall communicating with strangers.
Yes.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Looking at the chat, somebody says, can I raise one hand for yay and the other for nay? You can do whatever you want. This is your time. This is your moment. Live it. Duncan Downham, live it. All right. Next, we're going to go with Allie. Tell us why you voted nay.
Like, as far as like self-image, I feel like 2000s magazines did more damage to me than like current social media. I feel like right now social media is actually like better for your like overall body confidence, kind of with like the new wave and stuff like that. Just to throw that in there from what she said. I think I love connecting with people, right? And you connect with people that you never would have before. I've met so many people through social media, probably a lot of people I shouldn't have met when I was younger, like grown men, but I'm just saying, try to backpedal my way out of that comment. But I don't know. I love like information, right?
Yeah.
It's just a way to get so much information like that you never would have known about, like just social media, people sharing stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going with that. But
Rion,
the magazine, yeah.
who is one of the hosts of some of the shows here with Skeptic Haven, says social media is starting to gain some standards on some platforms and losing them on others. I feel like that's pretty accurate. But yeah, I think you're right. I think in terms of being like a young woman, social media has actually never been a better time right now than for, say, like body positivity or different beauty standards. And I think Disney Channel messed up my beauty standards more than anything else growing up. Like, that's what I think, but maybe that's just me. Well, thank you for sharing your opinion, Allie. I really appreciate it. And then Ash, tell us about it. Why'd you vote nay?
Negative things that happen on social media. But we're able to see like what is the bad and we can turn that around and turn it into good. Like we're able to see like, hey, there are awful people out there that are, the Karens, the Chads, the Brads, you name it, that are treating people awfully on there. It's just like, okay, like there are social issues that are out there. And I feel like we're more aware and we're able to come together and be able to change things. And then also, like, I agree with Allie with like magazines tore me down with my images more so than like social media. And the great thing is like we're able to see all different types of body types who are beautiful in their own ways, male, female, non-binary, and we're able to make it more socially acceptable versus it being like, oh, you're not a size 00 and you don't look like a Victoria's Secret model. Like now, like social media has helped us get that momentum of like accepting other people more so than back in the 2000s.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting also because I remember those days when it was so important to be a 00, only to find out when I grew up that my friends who were 00 also got made fun of for being really skinny and really wiry. So it's like, it doesn't even help if you meet that body standard. Someone's always going to have something to say. So yeah, well, thanks for sharing your opinion. I appreciate it. So I think the general consensus is for communication, it may not always be the best depending on what platform you're using. I know that like I feel like TikTok has been amazing for communication. I feel like Facebook in terms of communication is just like a meteorite just hitting the ground. But I still love Facebook. Come for me the same way you came for my side part and my high waist jeans. Facebook is still one of my favorite social media platforms, but not because of the quality of communication. I will give you that, Trish. Just because I don't like letting things go. I just don't like letting things go. That's pretty much what it is.
That's fair.
pry my Facebook out of my cold, dead flip phone. Do it. I dare you. But yeah, so fantastic. I really enjoyed everybody's perspective there. And I like that it kind of ran the gamut a little bit. So my second question, speaking of, I keep saying question, but it's a statement. Get it together. Second statement is Instagram is better than Facebook. Instagram is better. And what better means to you, means to you. You can explain what you mean by better. But social media, Instagram is better than Facebook. For those who say yay, for those who say nay, I'm going to go with nay. And I kind of just explained because it's my favorite, because I just like Facebook. All right. So Allie, why'd you vote?
Most of my family is not on Instagram, so that's the number one reason why it's better.
I changed my vote. I
feel a little more free there, right? Although I do have some weirdos who follow me, and Facebook is a little more controlled, so I guess.
I feel like there's a pattern here in your answers. Except the weird men.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so I guess there's a little more freedom on Instagram for me is the reason why. And I just like pictures more. I'm like, can I read? Yes, I can read. I'm like, what? I don't like reading all this stuff on Facebook, but I just like the creativity on Instagram. I think it's more fun.
Yeah, and for somebody like you who does a lot of like photo shoots and a lot of visual work, I can absolutely see how Instagram would be better suited for you. And it's like a more image, less like there's less need for the actual like discussion aspect. So it makes perfect sense. I feel that. And then Ash, why'd you vote how you voted? Oh wait, hold on. Let's see. There we go.
I barely have any of my family members on there, and I like to show a little bit of revealing stuff here and there, and most of my family is on the conservative side. So if I'm showing off some boobage, they're like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you showing off your breasts? And you're just like, I'm in my 30s. I am not a 16-year-old girl anymore. And I can show off my body if I want to, because I'm in community guidelines when it comes to what I show online. So if it didn't, then I would be in Facebook jail or just, dealing with that. So
you're like, look, Zuck loves it. You should love it. That's all that matters.
Exactly.
If Zuck thinks it could stay, that's fine. That's interesting too. That makes sense. Again, it goes back to that. When the visual representation is what matters to you the most, I can absolutely see how Instagram would be the best platform for that. And when your family is not on Instagram, I can also see how it would be the best platform for you. So that makes sense.
I relate so hard to that because like I'll show my mom a picture and she'll be like, love it, you're so beautiful, please don't post it on Facebook, just Instagram. And I'm like, yes, got it. Just like, I can't take any more from your Aunt Sally. I can't keep doing this.
You're like, so you're saying it's that good?
Called me. Yeah, my dad has called me numerous times. He's like, can you just block your grandmother from that post? I'm tired of hearing her talk about how immodest you are and questioning your relationship with God. And I'm like, well, Dad, if you have listened to any of the podcasts that I've ever done ever, you would know that I'm not a Christian anymore. But that's another time, another story.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so you're telling me your dad didn't listen to your episode of Growing Up Fundy? I'm really upset by this, Ash. I'm really upset.
I know. And then I posted it,
and it got like
listen, but
people loved your episode. They did. They loved your episode. It got a lot of views. And then Trish, why'd you vote how you voted? Tell us about it.
I like the pictures. I like looking at pretty pictures mostly, and it's a lot less contentious. There's a lot less fighting and bickering, which kind of goes back to the my overall statement about social media for the previous statement, question, answer. I don't know what to call it anymore. You keep calling it a question. It's not
I do. I'm sorry.
No, I just like that it's pretty pictures usually, or funny videos. I realize I could go to TikTok for that, but it just seems a little bit, I don't know, it's easier.
It's more organized. It's more like clean and organized for sure. Yeah. I will say, so say that again. Didn't mean to interrupt.
I like pretty pictures.
Yeah. And I love Instagram. I love Instagram. Instagram is one of my favorite social media platforms. I think it's fantastic. I just have a weird I think it's because Facebook came up kind of like with me as I aged. Maybe that's it. Maybe I think my jokes also go over better on Facebook than they do on Instagram. I just seem to get like more responses for my content there. So I love Instagram, but I think for me personally, Facebook just seems to be where I am the most welcome, I guess. And maybe I'm totally making that up, but if Facebook were to ever close down, I would be very sad. I would be very sad. There's a lot they can change about it. There's a lot they can fix about it. I don't think it's perfect by any means. And the worst time in my entire life to be on Facebook was 2014 through like 2018, just absolute garbage. But I don't know. I just have a soft spot for Facebook. I do. I just have a soft spot for it. I don't know. On that, in a similar vein, TikTok is better than Instagram. I feel like I know how a couple people might vote, but maybe I don't. Maybe I'll be surprised. TikTok is better than Instagram. Yay. And then nay. And then in between.
This is remember yesterday I said,
Yeah.
appropriate answer? I'm going to go,
Why, what brings the
I have a TikTok. I posted on it a little bit. I'm always getting new followers. I haven't posted anything on it in 6 months, maybe longer. And I find it unintuitive.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
And I'm old, so maybe that's why.
Yeah. I to me, they're just so different. It's like apples and oranges. A lot of people try to compare them, and I don't really understand how they really have anything in common other than the singular stream, like scroll aspect. Allie, why'd you vote how you voted?
I think TikTok is just more casual to me, right? Like I feel like I have like a standard of expectation on Instagram that I have to uphold and look decent, but you can film a TikTok just looking busted, and people can like just you'll get so many likes and so many people that will relate to it. But like Instagram is like more like a professional setting for me. I don't know why maybe I have that in my head for some reason.
I think you're totally right. You're totally right. I feel like people get on TikTok looking and you're like, you have like, you're not afraid at all. Like you're not scared in the least bit. Like
I feel more comfortable doing like a spur of the moment thing, but also I'm way better at posting on Instagram than TikTok because I have so many ideas saved. I just never do them. I never do them. And if so many sounds saved, like I'm like, oh, I'm going to do a whole TikTok day. I never do anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also somebody pointed out in the chat, I'm looking for it, I lost it, but they said that your experience with like TikTok and Instagram might also change based on your algorithms and what you watch, which I thought was a really good point. Like if you're sick and tired of seeing political stuff, but your algorithm only shows you political stuff, that would be exhausting. And I could see how that would, or if TikTok only shows you like dance videos and you're burnt out on dance videos and you don't realize there's a whole side of TikTok that's not that, or Instagram that's not that, I can see how your algorithms or what you watch would absolutely make a big difference.
Yeah,
for sure.
And like TikTok rewards people who film in the app, whereas Instagram used to just not care, but now Instagram is the same. Like they want you to use their app for some reason. What is going on outside? I don't know if you can hear that.
Motorcycle gang.
Jeez. But yeah, so I used to film a lot more in TikTok, but now that it's like both, I'm like, no, I can't keep doing everything at once.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Ash, tell us why you voted, how you voted.
I am a little bit salty against TikTok because I get in trouble on TikTok.
That's funny.
On Instagram, like I don't get in trouble. Like I made like a joke where it's just like it was like 2023, gas prices are fucking high. Food, like, everything is so spread out when it comes to like food scarcity. A man that can't find a clit, I still can't find a man that knows where the clit is at or something like that. On TikTok, I can't say that. I learned that the hard way. I
I'm surprised.
banned because I said the word porn in my thing, even though it wasn't porn.
Interesting.
So, on Instagram, I have a little bit more freedom to say different things. And like I get more views on Instagram than I do on TikTok because of this shadow ban that I got. Because who knew that when you stitch a fun guy type of person and he's touching fun guy and it makes it sound like it's a scene in a porno scene and you say, what did I just watch? Is this some kind of new porn? You get in trouble on TikTok for that.
Your grandma's like, as you should. As you should.
She's just like, your father should have put soap in your mouth and spanked you more, probably.
That's really funny. Yeah, that's a good point too. Like Zuck doesn't own that one, and you got banned, so we can obviously tell who your favorite is. He just loves your content, 100%. All right. So let's see here. We're gonna bump it up a little bit. We're gonna get away from social media. We're gonna segue into a little bit more important things. So here's a statement, and I'm curious what you guys think. Offensive lyrics in music should not be a big deal. Yay or nay? Offensive lyrics in music should not be a big deal. Yay. And then I'm going to say soft nay. I'm going to say soft nay. And I'll explain. So, like, I don't think that lyrics should matter that much. But I know there's always going to be like there's always going to be an extreme example. So like lyrics that tell you to like hurt somebody or like lyrics that tell you you should hate somebody because of a certain reason. I do think those are harmful. And as much as I'm not a person who does what my favorite singer tells me, I've spent enough time on the internet to know there's a lot of people who do exactly what their favorite singer tells them to do. So while I don't think that offensive lyrics in general, like, I don't care, just don't listen to the song. If they're like calling for something, or if they're like calling somebody out that they don't actually have evidence to prove that person did that thing or whatever, that might be harmful. So that's why it's like a soft nay. It shouldn't matter, but it does, in my opinion. Like, it shouldn't, like, that's why we can't have nice things, basically. Trish, tell me about it. Why'd you vote how you vote?
I was thinking of it like in terms of all art.
Yeah.
Comedy, television shows, movies, and song lyrics. Everything isn't for everybody.
Exactly. Yep.
And there's so many. Oh my God, it's offensive to my grandmother. Yeah. Well, Grandma, don't watch it.
Yeah. Yes. Like, if you don't want to listen to WAP, don't listen to WAP. If you don't want to listen to Lil Nas X, don't listen to Lil Nas X. It's not for you. Yeah, I 100% agree. Like, that's where my view is 90% of the time. But I know there's probably a song out there that's like kill all these people that I've never heard of before and has never made, and where like somebody would use that as an example. So that's why
don't kill all the redheaded grandmothers. I'm against that song.
Oh, okay. When you said redhead, I got real nervous. Oh yeah. There is a disproportionate number of redheads on this stream. That's interesting. I didn't think about that until just now. And then Ash, tell me about it. Why'd you vote? How you voted? Oh, I'm sorry. You're muted. Hold on one sec. There we go.
All right. So like, I believe that there is a borderline on things. Like, as long as it doesn't harm people, it shouldn't matter. Like, WAP and everything. Like, that's a catchy song. A lot of people don't like that song because of what it represents and everything.
Right.
But if you don't like it, don't listen to it. And like, yes, there are things where it's just like, if it's a racist song, then yeah, that's like not appropriate. But, or like they want to cause harm or something. And there are people out there that, like you said, they do like listen to the people that they idolize. And I don't know. It's just like, there's, you have to have like a healthy balance of knowing what's good and what's bad. And I just like, it's just, I'm like tongue-tied right now, but yeah, it's, people have the right to express things, and there's art because, like a lot of people wish that nudity art can be banned, but we don't do that because it's art. Right. So, if you don't like it, just don't listen to it. And if it's that bad of a song, then hopefully that person can educate themselves on that Matt wrote the song and be more open and not bigoted. But other than that, like, you can't really control someone's art.
Right, right. I also think there's the additional argument for a time and a place. So, like, somebody was telling me just yesterday about how they work at a restaurant and there was a girl who was a server, and every time she would come back in the kitchen near the dishwasher, she would tell them to like turn off their music. It was offensive. She didn't like it. And he just thought that was like rude of her to go into their workspace and like make that decision. But I said, what were the lyrics to the song? Just out of curiosity, what were the lyrics? And he's like, I don't even remember what the song was. It was some rap song. And I was like, well, I said, the only reason I'm bringing this up is because if it was really graphically sexual in nature, she shouldn't have to work in that environment. You know what I mean? Like if their song was like some of these songs you hear where it's like all about like fucking bitches and treating them like dirt and stuff like that, like she definitely shouldn't have to work in that environment. It's different if like she's your neighbor and she's complaining about the music you listen to, or like she's at your house for a party and she's complaining. But like I feel like there's a time and a place as well. So like if you want to listen to that music in your car, in your house, out and about on a walk, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, as long as you don't like then turn around and treat people the way that the song like treats people. You know, those are characters, often like caricatures. But at the same time, if I have to work in an environment and all the guys in that environment are playing music that's like violent towards women, I might feel like if this person is like a little sheltered, I might feel like I don't belong there and I'm not safe there. So like I feel like there's like a time and a place, I guess. But I don't think the music itself existing is the problem. I think it's the environment that music is played in and how it might impact that environment might be the issue there.
Creating a hostile work environment,
Right.
it's still, it doesn't matter what the song is. You're absolutely right. Time and place.
Exactly.
Work is not the, work is
Right.
not the place for
Just
everything.
like I wouldn't play my own personal music at a desk if I had a desk job either. I just wouldn't put people through having to listen to my choice, even if it was like something super tame. I just wouldn't put people through having to hear my music choice in an environment they're not allowed to leave or something like that, if that makes sense.
What would your choice be?
Greta Van Fleet. They're kind of my favorite right now. Like, which enrages my dad because he says they're copying the classics. And I'm like, they're inspired by. They write their own music. It's a similar style, but they're inspired. Jeez. So, yeah, they're really good. I think they're really good. And then, Allie, your thoughts?
Like, for me, I was allowed to listen to like anything with like cussing in it. And I was allowed to cuss because it was like art. My mom would be like, hit it, Allie, and I would like sing it in the back seat, like whatever cuss was on there. And like, so like I'm kind of biased. And like as a kid, I listened to Eminem all the time. My uncle would blast the explicit versions of like Kim. I don't know if you know that song. It's like about him literally like hurting her. It's kind of terrible, but I knew every word to it as a child, and I'm not going around killing anyone, but I can see how it's like terrible at the same time.
Or like if your name was Kim and like your coworker asked you out and you said no, and then all he played was Kim for like the next, like
wait a minute, yeah,
right, like
time. And I agree
and
with like the environment. Like I had an employee, she was like, who would listen to like WAP? I'd be so embarrassed. I was like, it's literally been on repeat in my car like the entire way here. And I was like her boss, and she was like, what? I was like, what? I was actually in the top 1% of streams for WAP. And people say I haven't accomplished anything. I think that's a great accomplishment.
And here people say you haven't accomplished.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was allowed to like consume anything like Oscar films that had nudity in it. Any songs with like cursing. Like my mom really like let us do kind of whatever because she said it was art. You could argue why I am the way I am, but people could see me and they'd be like, I'm not going to do that with my kids. But I think it worked out great.
You're like, I love me, so it turned out
great.
Yeah. I remember the remix, the Ignition remix, when that came out, like in the 90s. I remember the part where they would play on the radio where he's like, Like mama rolling that body, you got any man in here wishing? And then he's like, it's the freaking weekend, baby. I'm about to have me some fun. My mom would always go, yeah, you can have some fun when you're married. And then she would like change the song.
That's so funny. My little niece will be like, it's the freaking weekend, Auntie, because we say that all the time. Terrible.
Absolutely terrible. And then Ryan brings up a really good point. Too much Christian music would be offensive to me as well. So there's that, even if the lyrics aren't offensive in any way, if I have to be at my work environment and all they play is like religious gospel music, I would feel like I had to at least pretend to be a very religious person in order to fit in there, or I would feel like they were trying to send a message. Like if they knew that I wasn't a religious person, I would definitely feel like that was a pointed message. So yeah, lots of good points brought up here, definitely. And then let's see here. The next statement. Oh, this is a heated one. So you can take a minute to think about this. I was up all night thinking about the answer to this, and I still don't know how I feel. Square dancing is important in public school education. I know, Trish, it's okay. You can let it out. You can cry. You can sob. You can do what you need to do. But I really need to. This has really just been heavy on my mind. I've been praying about it. I've been doing everything I can. What are your thoughts? Yay? Nay? I'm really disappointed. Ash, I was going to say, vote. I'm really disappointed. Allie, why did you pick such a heinous vote? This is my culture we're talking about here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Nashville, so it's my culture too, unfortunately. But actually, it was kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie to you. I listened to Cotton Eye Joe more than I should as an adult. To the point where my niece was like, "Auntie, play your favorite song," and we went through a million songs, and I was like, "Cotton Eye Joe," and she was like, "Yes," and I was like, that was my 13th reason, but I just had bad memories from it.
I want to know.
Too much work. I don't like physical education.
Well, I want to know how they did that virtually. Surely they still did that virtually over the pandemic, right? They're not going to let like an entire generation of kids not square dance in this country.
Right. I hope they got recorders too.
I hope they just recorded it in general. That's what I hope.
I actually took an online dance class and had to record myself. Like in college, I did record myself.
Really?
Myself doing it. I will never watch it, but I just sent it. I was like, I don't care what it looks like. I'm just sending it. I can't put myself through that.
An online dance class. That's wild. Okay. I feel like we've opened Pandora's box here. I'm going to have to ask you about that sometime. And then
the video.
Trish, you're telling me you don't support square dancing in schools. Is this going to be a point of contention?
Wasn't the sentence, is it important?
Homeschooling should be, no, sorry, that's a different question. Square dancing is important in public schools.
You said, is it important? I don't think it's important.
God damn it.
I just don't.
You're like, I'm sorry. I'm just going to come out and say it. It's not important. Trish, did they have y'all square dancing when you were in school?
Well, I didn't go to public school.
Oh, that's right. You went to Catholic school.
So, and our, you used to live in Chicago, gym, we didn't call it PE, it was gym class. So gym class wasn't every day like it is for public school kids most of the time. Certainly wasn't. I had it once every 6 class days in high school. So, yeah.
But also I feel like people in that generation like moved just like in general, they just moved around. And like when I was a kid, we were done doing that. We were computer kids. There was no moving around. There was no physical activity.
No. I'm of the come home when the streetlights are on generation. We would leave at, we would leave in the morning, come back around noon, get some food, come back around 5, and then go out after dinner and stay out until close to 9 o'clock in Chicago.
Yeah. Your parents are like, don't we have kids? I think we have kids.
And then we come home and play around outside. And we played a game called Bloody Murder, which was like reverse hide and go seek. And then like everybody would hide, and one person would like walk around, and then whoever they spotted first, they'd yell, "Bloody murder in the bushes," or wherever you were. And then everybody had to run back, and whoever got there last was it for the next and had to like be the seeker. But we called it bloody murder.
Interesting. That's cool. We had Assassins. Did Ash and Allie, did y'all play Assassins in high school? Where like somebody was the secret assassin, and if you got like assassin, I don't remember what the rules were. In the comments, if you know what I'm talking about, put the rules. Let's see. Did you say something, Ash? Oh wait, hold on. Yeah,
Oh,
there you
to it where it's basically like you like there's like everyone. It's well, we did it kind of like Villager, where like everyone like had to like put their heads down over, and then like the person who was like the narrator had to like pick the murderer, and then like the village people, and then like usually something else, whatever. So
yeah, I don't remember what the rules were. I just remember it was a really scary game.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, well, fine then. I guess we all just disagree on square dancing. I think it is a primary necessary educational enrichment, but whatever, that's fine. And that's cool. I can just let that go. Now on kind of like the school education realm, homeschooling should be more regulated by the government. Homeschooling should be more regulated by the government. Now, totally transparent, I don't actually know to the extent that it is regulated. I know that it is a little bit. I know that you do have to take like tests just like everybody else, like state mandated tests, but I don't actually know it was state to state what the regulations are. But in this statement, like the overall government would have more to say in your homeschooling curriculum. Yay? Nay? Okay, so we all agree. That's cool. And the reason I say that is because I just know a lot of people who like their parents' version of education was a lot different than like just general education. I know somebody who is homeschooled in an area where I do think that homeschooling should be much higher regulated. And for example, like he asked me why I was taking Spanish instead of Scottish, even though I wanted to visit Scotland. He said I should be taking Scottish. Did not know they spoke English in Scotland. He also thought that the country above the United States was Europe. So I do think there should be like much more tight regulations on homeschooling. Allie, tell me about it. What are your thoughts?
Most homeschool curriculums like coincide with like religious based.
Yes.
Am I wrong about that? I feel like
yep. A lot of them are religious based.
Yeah, my sister was homeschooled, and it's like all through the church. It's like preschool. It's really hard to find a preschool that's not like a church. Because I wanted to be homeschooled, and then I found out it was like a lot of religion, and I was like, I'm gonna public school, Mom. She was like, okay. I was like, but I feel like if you meet someone homeschooled, you know that they were homeschooled, right? I had someone in college give a speech on how homeschool kids are just like everyone else, and it was the most homeschooled speech I've ever heard. Like I was just sitting there and I was like, you've never talked to another child, have you? And she didn't know a lot of stuff in that class.
Yeah. And I do think like now that you mention it, I'm thinking of everyone I know who's homeschooled. Literally all of them are very, very like fundamentalist evangelical, and they got pulled out of school or kept out of school for that religious reason entirely. You're right. I don't know anybody who was just simply homeschooled to be homeschooled. Yeah.
And most parents who do the homeschooling are usually like not the best. Most parents who are like really like have a great education and stuff, they're like off doing something and don't have time to school their kids, honestly.
Yeah, they just put them in like better public schools.
Exactly.
Hey, I'm in here. Didn't know how public bathrooms worked. That's wild. Also, I love the name Doorknob Head. Also, Doorknob Head, yes, caffeine does have to drink me in the morning to get energized for the day. You're welcome. And then Trish, why'd you vote how you voted?
So largely for what you guys have already said about religious education, or it's really more indoctrination. And they don't, they read pamphlets about, I just watched the Shiny Happy People docuseries about the Duggars and that cult that they're a part of. And it's like, I don't know how they even learn how to read by the end of it. They're just reading these little pamphlets. They're not learning anything. They're not learning particularly critical thinking, which kind of goes back to my first comment about civil discourse. How can you can't argue with an idiot. You
Yes.
can't argue with somebody who doesn't know anything. And then I do know a family that I know a few families who homeschooled, but only one that I really agreed with. And that was because she had 4 kids and she sent 2 to public school and 2 were homeschooled because they had cystic fibrosis and they missed so much school that they weren't moving ahead academically because of their illness. So she got them homeschooled.
Yeah,
And
that
then
makes
so that
perfect
they could, to me, that makes sense.
Right.
But I had neighbors, we had the neighbor on our block who passed out Halloween candy with Bible verses taped to them.
Yep.
And she homeschooled her kids and she was the idiot. She came to me one day and she's like, my boys are always fighting. What do I do? I'm like, they're boys. They're 9 and 10. They're going to fight.
Yeah.
Girls do that too. What the hell is wrong with you?
Right.
You're not qualified to be running a classroom if you don't know that much about kids.
Yes. Yeah. And I will say there have been some people I've heard not want their kids to go back to public school after COVID. I have heard that a few times. I don't know anybody personally, but like that makes a little bit more sense to me. If you caught COVID and it made you so sick, you don't want your kids to go back into COVID schools. But those are also typically people who then critically think about what programs they're going to use to homeschool their kids. You know, they've done their research, they look into it, as opposed to you're learning what at school? No, science is evil. I'm taking you out. Or like I've heard of families where the second kid never even got to start public school because of what the first kid was learning in school. So like socially, I think that's detrimental. Educationally, I think it's detrimental. And I think that if your beliefs are so threatened by education, you have to pull your kids out. You should actually look at your beliefs and what you're being told. And that goes for any group that makes you feel like you need to pull your kids out because they're being told the opposite. If anything, I think that actually believing something, like if you are a devout believer of anything, that means you've been given the opportunity to be exposed to the opposing ideas. You've looked into it. And at the end of the day, you still feel like this is the way that you should believe, as opposed to you've just never been allowed to hear anything else ever. Yeah. And then Ash, did you have thoughts?
Yes, I do. I actually was homeschooled from like preschool to like 8th grade, and then high school I transitioned to public school because I kept on bothering my parents.
Yeah,
it was
that
rough. It really was. It doesn't help when your mom doesn't know how to math very well. And she still counts on her fingers and you're just like, okay, this is normal of how to do math. My parents were teenage parents, so that doesn't really help. I mean, they graduated high school, but that's all the education that they had. And then for science, it was creation science that my grandpa would send pamphlets for. And I really do like, I did the homeschool testing in Washington State. That's where I got my homeschool education, which is really interesting. And I think it's changed over the years, but like it should have been more regulated for sure, because religion beliefs shouldn't be the main focus of education. It should be, you know, math, science, English, your basics, but also like real life experience and everything. Was I socialized? But it was like with people at school. I mean, like, church, but also like kids in the neighborhood. But that's really it. And like, yeah, I got to like study whatever I wanted to in a sense, but I felt like it kind of held me back in a lot of different ways when I went to public school. Yeah. I did get the grades, but there was that stress of like having to do like more work than I usually had to. Like there's times where my mom was just like she didn't push me to like do schoolwork, so sometimes I'd be like doing no schoolwork for like weeks at a time. So it's definitely should be regulated, because some parents just let their kids do it all themselves when they shouldn't.
Yes. And I think we learned, especially over the pandemic, I think we learned a very hard lesson on if the job requires a master's degree to do, you probably don't have all the tools you need at home to do it. Like if it requires people to get like a degree in education and a master's degree in education and do all this studying and training, and some districts I know even require you to like substitute a little bit, that's probably not a job that you can just pick up and do at home better than the teacher. I know some people, like if my mom had chosen to homeschool me, she's a brilliant lady, she's getting her PhD, it would have been fine. We would have killed each other. But the education itself would have been fine. But like the whole getting me to do my homework, if it's anything like getting me to practice piano, I would not be standing before you a living woman today. But the education would have been great. My test scores would have been phenomenal. But yeah, I agree. This is very interesting to hear like from the perspective of somebody who is homeschooled. And then we're going to switch gears just a little bit because I want to hit a couple of these stronger statements. For example, when someone tells me they aren't political, it's a red flag. Yay or nay? So when someone tells me they aren't political or like don't follow politics, it's a red flag. Yay or nay? Yay. And then nay. I'm going to say yay because most of the time when people tell me they're not political, they actually are, but they know that their beliefs are offensive to me and my existence. So they just pretend like they're not political. It usually means they're like, they actually voted for people that are harmful for like women's rights and stuff like that. And they know that. So they just say, oh, I don't really follow politics. And you find out they do. They just follow like more dangerous politics, in my opinion. But Ash, you voted nay. Tell me about it. Oh, whoops, sorry. Hold on. Let me unmute you real quick. There we go.
So it's kind of like a soft nay. Like I do believe that politics are important. There's some people where it might just be more of an anxiety type of situation where it's just like if they get too much involved with information, it just gets overwhelming for them. So
yeah, totally.
Like for me, like I am like, I do have like my political side and everything. I don't really tell a lot of people about my political side because it's not on the conservative side anymore. So whenever people talk to me about politics and they're way more on the conservative side, I try to stay away from it because I feel like some people might put me in harm. So I try to pull that as like I don't want to talk about it with you and just say that I'm not political, even though it's not the most honest answer. But that's just kind of my
So you're coming at it from more of a, when you say you're not political, this is what you mean. And it's usually like a trying to settle down the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, that makes absolutely perfect sense. And I will also say, I hate having political conversations with people. Like I'm never out here just looking to talk politics with anybody. But on the rare occasion I meet somebody who says they're not political, that's where my mind goes. But that's a great point. I didn't think about that. How like sometimes it's actually to defend yourself from a conversation that you don't want to get into. Great point. And then Allie, your thoughts?
I agree with that because my mom is not political at all. She's never voted. So I get some people just like she like just cannot handle thinking about it. But if someone said that to me, huge red flag because usually it's coming from a really big place of privilege, I think, to like just not care about any issues at all. Like you obviously have such an upper hand in a lot of these issues that you don't need to care about it. Like if you didn't, you would for sure. But I get that some people are just like, no, like I cannot even think about it. Cause I know a lot of people like that. I would just like, if someone said that to me, I would ask them to like explain it further. Like,
yeah,
like, please tell me a little bit more. But usually it is just a defense mechanism. Usually like a man would say that to me. And they know I don't want to hear what they have to say. They're like, oh, why do we have to get into that? And you're like,
yeah. Like I am anti having political discussions with people. I'm like, and when they're like, oh, where do you fall? I'm usually like, I'm not going to talk about that with you. I feel like that's a much different story. I think the only experiences I've ever really had with people who said they weren't political were very much like what you talked about, Allie, where it's like, oh, something comes up and you suss out that they have an opinion that's kind of weird. And so you're like, wait, how are you on the spectrum? Like, where do you fall? Oh, well, I'm not political. That's when you're like,
I think it's a lot of men on dating apps trying to get laid who are like, oh, I'm not political at all. And they're like vote against everything against women. And they're like,
Yeah.
what? I said I wasn't political, girl.
What
No.
cracks me up though, on the opposite end of the spectrum, is when somebody who is like very, very like pro-government, pro-police, pro this, pro that, has a Punisher sticker on their truck. And I'm like, do you know who the Punisher? You know, he hated cops, right? Like, you know, the Punisher was like anti-police. Or like somebody brought up recently, when people have the "Don't Tread on Me" license plate, and you know they paid for that license plate, and you're like, do you know where that money went? Do you I'm just asking. Like, I'm just asking if you know. Okay, that's what cracks me up, when they are political and they do it wrong. That's my other favorite kind of person. Even if they believe supposedly the same thing I do, if they're out here doing it wrong, it cracks me up. It just makes my day. Trish, tell me about it. Why'd you vote? How you voted?
I feel like, all right, just to give background about me, my minor was American politics when I was in college. And I used to be a newspaper reporter, and that's covering politics and government. And at this point in my life, for the last, I don't know, 7 years, I don't like talking politics. I don't like to know too much. I know enough that I know what's going on, but not so much that I'm having a constant nervous breakdown, because it does the last several, I'm going to say 8 years, 7 years, 8 years, it's caused me a tremendous amount of anxiety. And so I understand not wanting to talk about it.
Yeah.
And not getting too deep in it, because we live in a hellhole sometimes, shit storm, hellscape, whatever. I think you can tell what side of the aisle I would be on, or side of everything that I would be on. But you still have to know what's going on. You have to pay attention.
That's a big thing too.
You need to have an opinion, even if you're not going to talk about it. You have to, saying, I don't want to talk about it, is perfectly reasonable. Or I don't know that we'll agree, so let's not talk about it. I like you. I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to hear anything more.
No, absolutely, 100%. And I cannot stress enough how much I hate talking about politics with people. I do. But I absolutely think there's an exhaustion in the whole I'm not going there with you. And like, I don't read the news every day for that exact reason, because it just starts my day in the worst way. But I know what's going on, or at least I try to keep up with what's going on. One of my friends makes fun of me because I read the news so infrequently that I'll reach out to her and be like, did you see what this celebrity did? And she's like, that was a month ago. Like, every single day I'm like shocked by something that's old news to everybody else. But like, I try to keep up with like what's going on, at least in our country, so I know what to expect, Before I move on to probably the final bit, because we're wrapping up our hour here, I just want to give a shout out to first the patrons. We have Eric Ozols, Tara S, Rion, Dean and Murphy, Dan D, Michael Wiseman, Kathy Cotton, Cindy Plaza, Sunny Shell, Aaron Coalson, Phil Calderone, and Jamie West. And also, this is a Skeptic Haven show. Skeptic Haven is the channel that we're on. And if you liked this show, or you're interested in live streams, they have shows almost every single day. They have Secular Soapbox on Wednesdays and Thursdays with the Sunny Spot. Saturday, the Global Atheists and Women Atheists Unloaded, and Let's Talk on Sunday, which is a live call-in show. I'm frequently on that show. Lots of really cool people are frequently on that show. You can call in, you can ask the host and the guest questions. Super duper awesome. Highly recommend it. I'm entirely biased, but I also highly recommend you check out those shows, even when I'm not on it. I'm not on it tomorrow. You should check it out. And so with that, I'm going to end with one last statement for our guests to vote on. And I'm going to see, let me go through my list here. Do I want to end on one that's funny? Do I want to end on one that's, let's say, how about this one? Politicians should be allowed to campaign highlighting their religious beliefs. Do you think that politicians should, as they do currently, should they be allowed to highlight their religious beliefs as part of their political campaigns at any level? For people who say yay, raise of hands. People who say nay, raise of hands. People who are in between, yeah-ish. The only reason I say yay is because depending on what it is, that tells me everything I need to know. So if somebody's like, I'm a fundamentalist, I'm like, okay, well, thank you for letting me know. I don't need, like, or if someone's like, I am like Unitarian Universalist, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I'd love to read up more on this person. What people proclaim as their religion tells me a lot about what I need to know about them, even if that proclamation is, I'm not a religious person. So that's why I think they should be able to, because so many of the red flags that you see in like nationalism come up during those kind of conversations. And I'm not saying I would never vote for a Christian in office, but if somebody's like, I am a fundamentalist Christian, like that's a big red flag word for me. That means that they fundamentally believe everything that the Bible says is true. And I'm not down for that. If they're like, yeah, I'm a Baptist, I'm like, okay, like I'd vote for a Baptist. I was raised Baptist. Fantastic casserole, not a problem. Like maybe they'll be great in office too. Let's give them a shout out. But Trish, why'd you vote? Why'd you vote maybe?
Because on the one hand, the First Amendment, you should be able to talk about things about yourself like that when you're running for office. And what you said, it tells a lot about a person.
Yep.
I'm a Scientologist running for office. I would like to know that.
Yeah.
I want to know that on the TV shows I watch. So I stopped watching some things, right? On the other hand, I wish they'd stop talking about it. I don't give a fuck what your religious beliefs are. Stop telling me.
Yes. And I thought for one split second, I thought you were telling me you were a Scientologist, and I was about to be shook to the core. I was like, until you finished the sentence, I was like, Trish, like I'm shook. You're like, no.
I'm fascinated by them, but I am not one of them.
Yes. And I totally agree. Everybody deserves to talk about their beliefs, their ideas, whatever. That's part of living in America. Also, one of the wonderful parts about living in America is I don't have to vote for them after they said it. So that's one of the wonderful things. So I completely agree with that, Trish. Allie, tell us about it.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking like y'all were. So now I feel like I have a different answer.
How were you thinking?
I just am so tired of hearing about it, right? Because it just, like, the country's gonna vote for someone. Like, I would love an atheist president, but obviously they're never gonna vote for someone who's not Christian in America. I would love to see the day that happens, and I just get so sick of hearing about it. Like, there was, Joe Biden at church. No one cares. Like, I'm sure a lot of people care. I don't care.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I was thinking about it.
What's really funny about that too is that when I was growing up in the Baptist church, I noticed that it was worse to be the wrong kind of Christian than it was to not be Christian at all. So like some people, they're like, oh, Joe Biden went to church. He went to the Episcopalian church. We're never voting for him again. Like we're leaving the Democrat Party, as opposed to like he was an atheist, or like, if he's the wrong type, if you're Baptist and he's Presbyterian, or if you're Methodist and he's like, sometimes that's like a worse crime.
Yeah, I remember being so confused that like my grandma hated Catholics. We were Lutheran, but like, I mean, it's just a watered down Catholic, right? Like there's a prayer we say that says like a part of the Catholic Church, and I'd be like, what? I was like a kid, like I got to read more about this because I think she's wrong. So yeah, I agree with that too.
And then Trish, did you have something to say?
I know what that Catholic, in terms of it means universal. That's what they mean. A universal church. That's what Catholic refers to in that prayer.
Yeah. I just remember being a kid and being like, what are they? What in the world?
My grandmother was a Lutheran, and then she converted to Catholicism and got disowned. So
it's a big, like, hardcore, big deal.
That's wild to me. I also remember as a kid, they were like, Jews are God's chosen people. And I was like, okay, why don't we try to become Jewish? And they were like, no, that's not, what are you talking about? Don't do that. And I was like, but we agree they're God's chosen people. Why aren't we trying harder to be? And they're like, no, stop that. Like, stop using logic. What are you talking about? And I'm still curious about that. Like so many Christian religions believe that Jews are God's chosen people, and nowhere are we encouraged to pursue Judaism in any way. Now, I also understand that Jewish people are like, please don't ruin what we have. We have a good thing going. So I understand that too. And I don't want to taint what they've got going on because it seems like a great thing. But I've always wondered that. I'm like, so if we all agree, it's like, this is the best cake. Can I have some? What? Are you crazy? Like, you're meant to have this one. This is the one you want. I'm like, I don't understand. And then Ash, tell us about it. Why'd you vote how you voted? Oh, whoops, sorry. Hold on one sec. I keep forgetting to unmute you. I'm sorry. There you go. Perfect.
So like for me, it's like the consistency of them like making that their whole political agenda. Like that's my problem about it. Like for me, it's like, okay, yeah, everyone has like their like the First Amendment right or whatever, but to the point where that's the only reason why people are voting for you is because you are, you know, a evangelical Christian or this or that. Like for me, I don't care what religion you have. I just want it to be where it's equal for everyone and it doesn't cause harm to other people's rights. Just because your religion says it's not okay doesn't mean all other religions and belief systems follow your belief systems. And that's a dictatorship to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I also remember when I was a kid, my mom used to say, like, be a good person, be kind, be fun, let people get used to hanging out around you, be the girl that everyone wants to hang out with, and then let them find out you're a Christian. And like, once they know that you're like a nice person and they really like spending time with you, maybe then they'd be encouraged to come to church. And I feel the same way about being an atheist. With the exception of being on channels about atheism, like in my personal life, in my like day-to-day life, I never talk about it, never bring it up. It never comes up in conversation because I want people to hang out with me, to think I'm fun, to enjoy my class, whatever, yada, yada, yada. And then a year later, find out like, oh, I'm also an atheist. Like maybe atheists aren't so bad. I feel the same way about religious stuff. Like there's been people I know who are greatest people I've ever known, had no idea they were whatever strict religion they were part of because they just didn't bring it up. And so I think there's that angle too. Is like I would rather be a politician who people really appreciate my ideas and they like what I'm doing, and then later during an interview they find out what my religion is and maybe they are willing to sway and still vote for me, even though normally if I had come out of the gate and said it out loud, they wouldn't have voted for me that way. Trish, did you have thoughts?
I just have this vision of the evangelical atheists that I know who are like always trying to tell other people that they shouldn't believe what they believe.
Yes.
You shut up too. That's
exactly. I don't want to hear from them either. Like, I don't want to hear from them either. Right. That I completely agree with that. So we're coming to the end of our hour. And so I wanted to give each of you a chance to tell us if they really enjoyed seeing you, if they really enjoyed your opinions and your thoughts here, where else can they find more of your content, whether it's videos or tweets or TikToks or anything that you want to promote? Starting with Trish, where's a place that we can see some of your content if we wanted to? Do you have any shows coming up?
I don't have any shows coming up. I'm on Instagram, Queen Trish Comedy, all one word. Also, I have a TikTok with that people keep following, even though I haven't added new content in a long time.
Yeah. You're one of my top favorite people to follow on social media just because you're so freaking funny. So if you have a chance to follow her on Instagram, please do. Please do. And then Ash, if we wanted to see more of your content, do you have anything coming up we can attend or watch or stream or like or follow?
Yeah. So I actually have 2 shows going on in Dallas. One is at Sheesh Hookah Lounge on this Tuesday at like 7:00. It's more of like a comedy competition. So whoever is the funniest comedian gets like $100, but people can come in and enjoy it. Also, I'm performing at a tattoo convention in DeSoto, Texas, which is not too far from Dallas. And that starts at 7:00 on Saturday. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok, and it's I Found Newland. And that's where I usually post my stuff.
Awesome. Perfect. One of my favorite things about comedy is the places the comedy takes place. Like one day you can do comedy at a hookah lounge. The next day you can do comedy at like a strip mall. The next day you're doing comedy at a barbecue place. Like you just never know. I got invited to do comedy at like a corn festival at one point, like in the future. Wild stuff. Like people don't understand. It's just wild. And then Allie, where can we find your content or see more of you or check out your shows, anything like that?
All of my social media, I believe, is Allie Newsome, except my Instagram, because I stole my own name about 13 years ago. I can't get it back, so it's A Newsome on there. I believe I'm on the Dive Motel next Thursday. Don't quote me on that, but in Nashville. But
Perfect.
I don't know if I have anything else coming up, but yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, Ash, Allie, and Trish, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate getting to talk to you about something other than comedy because I feel like I know a lot about your comedic opinions and your sets and your bits, but it's nice to talk about stuff that has nothing to do with stand-up for a second. And thank you to everybody in the audience who is viewing and commenting and giving us some it's corn, it's got the juice. Yeah, exactly. And who keeps showing up and streaming with us. I really appreciate it. It would be super weird if we were just live streaming to nobody. So thank you for being somebody and for communicating with us. But if you liked the show, if you liked this episode, if you like these ladies, these shows go on almost just about every day. Humorous Humanist is on once a month, but Women Atheists Unloaded is at this time every Saturday. And we've got a list that I mentioned earlier of shows that happen every day of the week. So if you've enjoyed it, feel free to like this channel, subscribe, check out all the different hosts and guests and shows they have all the time live streaming. And then give a shout out and a like to Trish and Ash and Allie on social media, because they are very funny. You will not regret following them on social media. Very, very funny. And yeah, with that, I say we wrap it up. It's been a good show. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you.
I know you told your friend you're not okay. And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, 'cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals.